Shit! About to drop an album in this motherfucker. Am I got a newspaper? Ah, shit. Shit. Oh, God, thank you. Feel like I'm running in the toilet today.
Anthony, how you doing?
All right. What are you?
I was just washing my hands.
Okay.
He's going to the bathroom.
And he's taping you washing your hands?
Well, we got a fan here.
What's going on?
We thought that you were coming in here. How are you doing?
Not bad. I'm fine.
Not bad. You're good.
Yeah, my head hurts a little. Not fine.
So I just wanted to know what I guess the situation. Like I said, we kind of knew where you were headed. What's going to be the situation with Low Life Louie tonight?
What situation? There is no situation.
So you're not scared then about anything that he might do, or you know he's going to be in the building tonight.
I'm scared of what Louie's gonna do? Excuse me for a minute. I know this is a bathroom. Listen, I know this is rated PG. Look, scared of Louie? Shut up. Okay. Shut up. Scared of Louie? Scared of Louie? Let me show you something. See this over here? See that? Oh, Jesus. You see this? That's a broken hip, broken pelvis, and dislocated hip 8 years ago, courtesy of a car accident in Forest Park. Okay? Scared of Low Life Louie? See this? There's another car accident. Shattered both sides of my ankle, got permanent damage on my leg, not even supposed to walk right now. Okay? Even this. Fell off my bicycle 8 years old. Now I'm gonna be afraid of Low Life Louie Ramos? Fucking joke. By the way, next time we do a promo in here, please spray something with air freshener. It smells like something fucking died in there. Don't step on my glasses.
This is a bathroom. I guess he's not scared.
Friday night. That means it's time for the Don Tony Show.
You've waited all week, and now it's finally here. Get Don Tony's perspective on current affairs in the world of pro wrestling and beyond.
And now, your host, the man, the legend, Don Tony.
People on audio only are probably saying, what the hell is going on right now? Did you see me tonight? I was on Thunderdome. Wow, my ears are red. Oh my God, you have no idea how hot it is to be under that mask for an hour. God. Will ever rise? Ever rise? You know, for all those people out there that every time we talked about Everrise, every time we talked about Breezango and NXT, even though you know I absolutely love that team, every time we talked about some wrestlers and that trend of the ratings going down and down and down and down, the inevitable has happened for some. It's just amazing how so many people out there are more upset about wrestlers and unemployment than their own. We'll talk about that tonight. A lot of people were released today. I don't know if there's some surprises. I'm not sure if you really think about it. I mean, all good things do come to an end eventually. I have a few things to say, absolutely. But I want to welcome everyone. The Don Tony Show, Friday night, June 25th, 2021. Much love. Now, for those that are catching this a little bit late and wondering what the hell was that all about in the beginning, well, that little intro was a flashback 15 years ago doing some indie wrestling stuff, and next week I will treat everybody with the full match on top of that. The haters will hate it, but all in good fun. Tonight, I was on Thunderdome from about 9:15 until 10. My arms are tired. But I had a ball. I know a lot of you out there kept DMing me. Holy shit, you're at the top. Holy shit, you're by. When who was it? With the ring steps. I think it was, what was the match? My mind is, I'm here, literally 5 minutes after SmackDown went off the air. They were doing some moves around the ring steps and the ringside table, and I was on the front row, I was on the top, I was in the middle, and somebody saying there's echo. All right, hang on a second. I had a feeling we were going to have an issue. Just give me 1 second, I'll fix it. Let me know if this takes care of it. Hang on. See, I couldn't adjust this while we were live. Hold on. Oh, I sound like I'm in an auditorium. How's that? Did that fix it? Yes or no? Did that fix it? If not, there's one other thing I could do. Just let me know if that fixed it. Good now? Yeah. You know what it is? Let me explain about Thunderdome a little bit. I have two cameras. I have a webcam and I have my main camera. My main camera is what I'm on right now. When you go into Thunderdome, you can only pick one or the other. So I choose the webcam because the webcam is more boxed in. Trust me, when I have that AEW hat on, that styrofoam head, if they see that in Thunderdome, I will be kicked off immediately. So when I use the webcam, it's a much, 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 much smaller box. So when I'm on webcam, I can't set up tonight's show at the same time. Literally, as soon as SmackDown went off the air, I am here, just literally opening things up and connected to the server, and here we go. I had asked Mish on Discord if he wanted to join me tonight for a little while to discuss the releases, but as of 9 o'clock, I didn't hear back from him, so I had to make a decision. Okay, plan for the show or do Thunderdome, or try to do both, so I did that. So, I'm exhausted. Because, Ted DiBiase hosted again tonight, by the way. 2 weeks in a row, at least. I mean, I wasn't on 3 weeks ago, but nice to hear Ted in the earpiece. There was one point where somebody else got into my earpiece and said, stay in the center of the camera. So I went like this to go in the center. And then, you want to see an idea of what the webcam looks like? Here you go, watch. See that? See the difference? You don't see the AEW stuff. That's the difference. So I went in the center, and the next thing I know, the match with the ring steps, they were doing a whole bunch of stuff. It was Dolph Ziggler and Jey Uso. And right by, it was, look, I know I'm an older guy, all right? But you know what? Life sucks sometimes, and I want to have as much fun as possible. And, going in Thunderdome and get a little bit of a workout and just doing this for 45 minutes or this, and when there's a 2 count or so. That's me. That's me. I try to be like a big kid. And I'd rather be that than to be a miserable bitch online. Edge is back. You knew that was happening. The seeds were being planted. Remember the rumored SummerSlam match? Edge versus Seth Rollins? Well, this might be where this is going. I know Seth Rollins teasing that he deserved the shot against Roman Reigns tonight. I think what'll happen is Edge may get the opportunity, and then Seth Rollins will end up getting pissed off at Edge. You just come back and you get a title shot. You know, so I think that's probably where they're going. So we'll talk about SmackDown tonight. Actually, we're going to keep tonight's show very simple because honestly, we had such an awesome show last night, taking calls, doing contests. I mean, just look at the vibe that you see on social media. Look at the vibe that you see on a lot of Discord channels and go just check out the vibe from last night. We had a contest. I gave away about $200 worth of stuff, and somebody gave it to a fellow viewer because she's had some health issues, emotional issues, and somebody who's just letting two total strangers just looking out for each other. So I thought SmackDown was a pretty damn good show today. It was not a bad show. And I know this is going to be a little bit of a mess tonight because I didn't get a chance to take a lot of notes. I can't take notes when I'm in Thunderdome. So actually, I can tell you, when I'm looking at my screen, as soon as Shinsuke came out for his coronation, that's when I was on standby. So, but I will tell you, if I have to complain about anything that went down on SmackDown tonight, and this is nitpicking, is Bianca Belair's promo. Remember last week's show? Remember when we talked about it? Enough with the bullying shit. Enough with it. Every freaking week that she cuts a promo, the bullying. Now instead of Bayley, it's bully. And then she's, some people tell this to me sometimes. If the haters aren't getting to you, why do you keep bringing up the haters? If the bullying doesn't get to Bianca Belair and she prevailed, ding dong, the witch is dead. Why is she still bringing up bullying? WWE, please stop that shit. Stop it. It's fucking annoying. We understand the public service announcement. We understand, where Bianca came from. It's an inspirational story, no question. And there are people every day being bullied. But my God, you're turning her character into mush. The more she talks about bullying, the more it comes across. Trust me, wrestling is supposed to be suspension of disbelief, but it's supposed to be an extension of reality in a lot of ways, especially when WWE wants to do messages. But you do this every single week. You know what the message everybody out there is looking at it at Bianca? She's triggered. She's triggered with bullies. What do we always say? What do I always say? The best this to the haters is success, right? The best thing is success. You watch them melt. You watch them get frustrated. You watch them basically get fed their own medicine, and they don't like it. Best success, the best success is, the best revenge against hater is success. The best success is when you have haters, I guess. Please, WWE, stop it with this Bianca stuff. What bully is going to show up next? And, not for nothing. Also, if I nitpick this also, Baron Corbin was not a legit king. There's no family blood. There was no storyline where he's from royalty. He just decided one day to show up with a crown. Look, everybody, my crown. And somebody takes it from him. We're having coronation ceremonies. Of what? Of what? Just that kind of annoys me, too. I mean, look, it's nice to see Nakamura in this storyline getting something, and he's having fun. But when you really dissect this, what the fuck have they done with Nakamura since the Royal Rumble? They've done squat. It was smoke and mirrors. Then it was loss. Bullshit win, loss. Oh, now we'll have him split victories with King Corbin and win a crown. That doesn't mean anything. Oh, God. Those are the two things that I could complain about tonight. So anyway, how's everybody doing tonight? I hope your week was okay. Enjoy the weekend. Have a great time. Tomorrow, AEW Dynamite is on TNT from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. I'll be honest with you. I am seriously thinking about not doing a show tomorrow. Only because, again, I don't mind AEW having up-and-coming stars of tomorrow. But what match did they announce tonight? Who's taking on Bear Bronson? Seriously, I have nothing against Bear Bronson. I'm going to take 3 hours of my Saturday night, and then you're telling me, hey, you really should tune in, because Bear Bronson is going to wrestle. Come on. And did you see what they're doing Wednesday next week? Isn't it the Young Bucks versus Penta and Eddie Kingston? What did we talk about last week? I mean, it's like Groundhog Day. Every week or every other week, there's a variation. Ray Phoenix and Eddie Kingston versus the Young Bucks. Ray Phoenix and Penta versus the Young Bucks. Penta and Eddie Kingston versus the Young Bucks. Ray Phoenix and Eddie Kingston against the Young Bucks. And Brendan Cutler so we can have a six-man. I'm getting sick of the same shit. They're running out of combinations. Even a Chinese restaurant, every week, give me combination number 4, give me combination number 1, give me combination number 2. Sooner or later, you keep having the same combinations all over again. I don't think I want to order Chinese food. Who is Bear Bronson fighting this weekend? Nobody even knows. Nobody even knows. So I'm not sure yet what I'm doing tomorrow night. Not sure yet. I'd love to do a recap with all of you. I'd love to do a watch, especially since all of you took the time to vote. Chances are I am going to do a show, but I think I'm going to do a recap, only because I just don't think Dynamite is worth enduring 2.5 hours of a show. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. No, look, I have to do something tomorrow because it'd be pretty messed up to have a lot of you out there vote on 2 polls as far as what do we do Saturday, and then they end up doing nothing. You know what I mean? It's like some of those people out there. I might hang out for AEW in September in Queens. I might not. Should I? Should I? Or shouldn't I? Should I or shouldn't I? And meanwhile, in the back of the head, never intended to. You piss off a lot of people with that. So I'll do a little recap tomorrow. In fact, I just made it official. Tomorrow night I'll be up here at 10 p.m. Eastern, and we'll do like an hour. Seriously, I know I always say that shit, but I got to be honest with you, and you know that that's not me. I'm not excited to see Dynamite tomorrow. And in all of the weeks that they've been on the air, this may be the second or third time ever that I was just not excited to see it. Because it's going to happen with Jungle Boy and Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega is going to make Jungle Boy look like $1 trillion. Jungle Boy is going to be like this close of getting the 3 count. And then you're going to have all the usual suspects interfere in a match. And we might even get Marco Cunt. And we might even get Luchasaurus. I mean, we might get all the... And there's like going to be 10 people getting involved. And in the end, Kenny Omega is going to win the belt. And as much as I like Jungle Boy, it is way too soon for Jungle Boy. But I know he's well-liked and everything, but it is way too soon to make him the heavyweight title, the leader of AEW. Especially when Kenny Omega, right now, his whole gimmick is the belt collector and everything like that. Let him lose against Sami Callihan. Then he could lose against someone else. Then he could lose against someone else. And like I said last night, the big challenge is, what will AEW do? Or who will be the first major star in AEW who has a big losing streak storyline? They have not done that yet. As much as you complain about 50-50 booking in WWE, and I don't like it for a lot of people as well, they do storylines where someone is on a tremendous losing streak. And then when they start winning again, it kind of means something. I mean, a lot of wrestlers over the years in WWE, Hall of Famers, had these big storylines where they had these long losing streaks. What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? It's supposed to get people behind them and support them even further. AEW has not done that yet. I'm dying to try to figure out who's going to be the first person to go on a significant losing streak, because AEW is more about it's got an indie style to it. You go to an indie wrestling event. I don't know how many of you out there have ever gone to multiple indie wrestling events. Usually when you go to an indie wrestling event, it's more of just an event. You'll have some storylines here and there, but usually you make the fans go home happy. Go home extra content. I had such a great time tonight. We got to go again. And that's what it's all about. I mean, wrestling should always be that way. But the thing is that AEW, in many cases, does not want to upset the fan. They don't want the fan to go home like, it's the time of the month. I'm sorry to use that example, but they don't want people to go home grumpy. You'll have heels win, but you don't want them to go home grumpy because we don't want anybody grumpy ever. Much love, everybody. Much love. I got a headache 3 days in a row. Oh, you have no idea how hot. Tomorrow I'll post some screenshots because I know during the Carmella Liv Morgan segment, I was all over that. The did I say Jey Uso earlier? Jimmy Uso, excuse me. Jimmy Uso and Dolph Ziggler match, which I liked very much. Edge's return, phenomenal. Something you expected. Let's see how long before Becky Lynch makes her return. Let's see what happens on Raw. We have some additional advances into the Money in the Bank ladder matches at the pay-per-view. Big E advances. I think we all pretty much figured that out. When they chose to have Big E versus Apollo and the Money in the Bank opportunities on the line, we can now have Big E pin Apollo and he doesn't have to lose the title to Big E. That's what that's about. Big E advances. Now I'm thinking, I kind of think Big E might be the one to win that briefcase. Then Big E, remember we had the conversation yesterday about Big E possibly going to Raw, and somebody had asked me, what do I think about Big E versus Lashley? And, it's an interesting match, but, we got the draft still, and the draft has not been officially announced yet. But if Big E wins the briefcase, Big E, I guarantee you, even if he's a SmackDown wrestler, I guarantee you, he will make multiple appearances on Raw, teasing that he could cash in against Bobby Lashley. You don't need to wait to the draft. You could start doing that the night after Money in the Bank. Then you could have Big E hang out with New Day. And then you could, since he's already there, I'm telling you, that's probably, right now, that's how I feel they may go. Maybe I'll change my mind between now and Money in the Bank. On the women's side, I know a lot of you out there are annoyed that they're not having technically qualifying matches for the women, although Liv Morgan and Carmella did have a match tonight. Liv Morgan prevails, but Sonya Deville came out there and announced Carmella in the ladder match. And, obviously it led to Liv Morgan coming out and confronting her, and she ends up pinning her for the second week in a row. Okay, fine. But for people out there that are annoyed that this is how they're treating the SmackDown women compared to Raw, I repeat what I've been saying for a few weeks now. Look at the women's roster on SmackDown. It consists of 5 women. 5. If you're not going to have Bianca Belair have a qualifying match because she's a champion, obviously, not going to have her do a qualifying match. Sasha Banks is not back yet. Bayley, they're still having interaction with her and Bianca Belair. So what are you going to have? Next week, another qualifying match. Liv Morgan versus Carmella. The week after, another qualifying match. Second chance, Carmella wrestling herself. There's no women to go against each other unless they have the tag team champions have an opportunity as well. You know what? Would not surprise me if WWE did some dumb shit where they had Natty versus Tamina qualifying match, and one of them is in there. Would not surprise me. Just to fill a spot. Think about this. How many participants are in the ladder match? Is it 8? How the fuck could there be 8 women in this ladder match? It's the entire women's roster on SmackDown. I feel bad for the one person that's left out. That might be Sasha Banks. That's why you need Becky Lynch to come back sooner than later. Hell, you know what I would do? Put Becky Lynch as a surprise return on SmackDown. Make her be in a Money in the Bank ladder match. Right? I mean, if you think about it, Asuka won last year's, and she got the briefcase, and lo and behold, she got a little surprise, opened it up, and there was a championship title in there because Becky was pregnant. Congrats once again. So maybe Becky gets an opportunity to be in this year's ladder match and try to regain a championship that she never really lost. She had to forfeit. So we will see. We will see. I'm just checking out some of the feedback in the chat room. Much love, everybody. I'm glad everybody's having a good time tonight. I love seeing the emojis and the smiley faces, you know. I am a bitter bitch sometimes, there's no question. But anyway, you know what? Let's just finish up covering SmackDown, because there's really not much left to get into, because the first hour was pretty much an opening segment, a tag team match in the Coronation, Shinsuke Nakamura. So we talked about the Shinsuke Nakamura match. We talked about Bianca Belair coming out there and doing the same exact promo as last week. I got a kick out of Seth Rollins coming out there, and he's kind of teasing her a little bit and everything. And then you have Bayley come out there, and then you have Cesaro, and they have the mixed tag match. And what ends up happening, Bayley gets her pin back. She gets the win. Oh, she pinned the women's champion. So that was Bianca Belair retains. Bianca Belair has been owning Bayley, but they finished the feud with Bayley getting a pin. That's why that mixed tag match was done tonight. In fact, props to all of you out there in the various outlets that I was hanging out with all of you before I went to Thunderdome that was saying, they're doing this match so Bayley could get a win back. And that's what they did. Baron Corbin being a baby face, that is a possibility. That would be very interesting. That would be very interesting. I don't know how I feel about that. I'm not a fan of Baron Corbin. I have acknowledged plenty of times that Baron Corbin, King Corbin, has improved significantly over the last couple of years. Just because he turns babyface, doesn't mean that suddenly I support him. I mean, sometimes there are people out there that have a certain character direction that just doesn't match. Perfect example, when they turned Alberto Del Rio babyface. That just felt stupid. Like nobody bought into that. And, people wanted him to go back heel, and finally they did that. Sometimes they do change, and it really just makes absolutely no sense. I don't know if King Corbin as a babyface would work. I don't know. I see some of my international friends talking about the fact that WWE is returning to England later on this year. I think it might be in September. Good, man. Have an awesome time. Seriously. To follow up what I was talking about yesterday, I think September 10th might be the date that here in New York, WWE will be back in Madison Square Garden. Honestly, I don't know if I'm going. I'm not comfortable in New York City. I don't like hanging out in New York City. And after everything that's been going on the last 2 years, I don't know how I feel about going to New York City. But you know what? What happened today doesn't resolve the problem of racism and bias and abuse and this and that. But at least that piece of shit cop is now going to get, about 15 years in jail. I know it was 22 and a half, Derek Chauvin, but I think if he's on good behavior, he could get out in 15. But it sends, a message that, people aren't going to take it. People aren't going to take it. And it's ridiculous that threatening to burn down cities is what scares people straight. You would think that they would just feel it in their heart. I should not hate someone simply because of this or their color or this and that. It's not brain surgery. I don't understand it. I honestly don't understand it. So, Yeah, and some of you in the chat are saying the same thing. You know I blend in some real life on my shows more than a lot of others out there, but that's the way I roll. It's the way I've always rolled. But anyway, getting back to SmackDown. And I know I'm going back and forth a little bit, but it's all good. You know, they opened the show. Roman Reigns with Jimmy Uso. Jey Uso is nowhere to be found. Jimmy Uso is saying that Jey Uso is not coming back. Okay. Stupid question. Storyline question. Why isn't Adam Pearce immediately banging on the tribal chief's door? What do you mean Jey Uso's not coming back? He must show up. If he doesn't show up, you're suspended. I take your title. I do this. I do that. I mean, just don't want to. You know Jey Uso's going to show. I mean, it's not a question. This is the storyline. But if you just think of common sense, why wouldn't Sonya Deville be pissed off at that? So, I don't mind storylines where you feel like it's directed towards a 9-year-old. But when Roman Reigns is having a conversation with Jimmy Uso, and basically Jimmy Uso, you know, he's nobody's bitch, but he wants to prove, you know, he could basically take the place of Jey Uso or do what Jey Uso did. All right, whatever. Roman Reigns kind of laughing at the idea. But then he did something really, I don't know, man. Jimmy Uso having a conversation with Paul Heyman. Paul, what do I have to do to prove myself? What are you, 10? What are you going to do to prove myself? I can even say it. Go to the hospital and beat the fuck out of Rey Mysterio or Dominic Mysterio. Or go beat up anybody that Roman Reigns dislikes. The minute Seth Rollins cuts that promo, smack right in the face. No, win a match. Win a match. I don't know. I just thought that was kind of corny. The match with him and Dolph Ziggler was fun. You know, it was funny on Thunderdome because, you know, I recorded a couple of clips. Yeah, I'll share on social media. Maybe I'll have to put it like on Facebook or something, only because I can't put it on YouTube, obviously. And Twitter, I know WWE takes things down occasionally. But, you know, when I'm in Thunderdome and Jey Uso and Dolph Ziggler are having their match, you got Ted DiBiase in our ear basically almost telling us to cheer for Jimmy Uso, not Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso. And it was a little weird, especially with the end of SmackDown tonight. You know, all right, here comes Dolph Ziggler, boos everybody, put those thumbs down, make that noise, you know. So it was a little confusing in Thunderdome, but I enjoyed the match tremendously. Robert Roode getting thrown over the announcer's table was pretty cool. Jimmy Uso wins, and then I forgot we got kind of like a celebration for Roman Reigns tonight, and that's closing out SmackDown. And did not expect Edge to be back this soon. For a lot of us, we thought Edge versus Roman Reigns might be the match to go for SummerSlam. Then we started hearing rumors, Edge versus Seth Rollins, which we talked about earlier this week. So that makes more sense now. If it is going to be Edge versus Seth Rollins at SummerSlam, then Edge versus Roman Reigns at Money in the Bank is a very, very strong possibility. But I think for now, Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns, I think that's not going to be on the table. Now, Big E taking on Apollo today, as I said earlier, you know, this match is designed to allow Big E to pin Apollo without a championship being on the line. The opportunity to be in Money in the Bank was, and, you know, I laugh at, you know, out of here. Why didn't Commander Aziz cause a disqualification? In so many other matches, the minute somebody outside does even the slightest of thing and a referee catches it, immediate disqualification. Tonight instead, out of here. And then Commander sees, is pretty funny, his reaction. Whoa, whoa, what, dog? Whoa, whoa. And right after that big ending from Big E, he gets the win. Big E advances in the ladder match. Am I leaving anything out? I mean, because that's pretty much what SmackDown was tonight. I love that Edge is back. He's got a much more puffy beard. I don't grow a beard, so I don't know how that looks in people's eyes. I know in 2021, like the in thing, and it's been like that for a while, is to grow like big facial hair. I don't know if I like the big, giant, puffy beard, you know? So, but let's see what happens next week. I think it will be Edge versus Roman Reigns. The only thing that sucks about it is, you know, Edge is not going to defeat Roman Reigns for the championship. And now it almost feels like it's a guarantee that Seth Rollins will cause Edge to not win the championship at Money in the Bank. So, you know, I don't mind Roman Reigns keeping that title for the foreseeable future. We're just having live fans come back. So you want fans to want to buy a ticket to see Roman Reigns get his ass kicked. You know, it's different with Drew McIntyre. I said last year, for a very long time last year, I said Drew McIntyre will always be looked at as the COVID champion. That's not his fault. It's not his fault. But, you know, to perform as champion in front of a live crowd was something I know a lot of fans wanted to see, as did Drew McIntyre, obviously. But it's not that tear down must happen, has to happen, fucked up if it doesn't happen. And it didn't happen for Drew McIntyre. For Roman Reigns, we can't just have those piped in, you suck, you suck, you suck, you suck. No, we need 18,000 fans to do it. We need live fans to get pissed off with the thumbs down and giving them the finger. You need that for a while. Roman Reigns has got to remain champion for a while. So, anyway, I know there's a very big story to get into today. Before I do that, if you wouldn't mind. Oh, I answered that yesterday. Sorry. Sorry, Jay Carlos. I forgot. We went into the, wait a minute, your title. What the hell is your title? I know that's not somebody's name. Let me fix that. Very easy to fix. Hold on. Sorry, everybody. We got to do this live. That's what happens when I don't have time to prepare for the show. Hold on. I think I got it. Boom. Ha-ha. Buffy89 showing some love. His birthday is in 2 hours. Actually, an hour and 15 minutes. Spending the first 8 hours of it at work. Hope we get a kick-ass Dynamite tomorrow. I don't know if it's going to be kick-ass. I think it'll be okay. I'm not going to think it's going to be a horrible show. The shows are decent. You know, nothing, but I don't have the energy. I'm not excited for tomorrow. But happy birthday, my friend. There's some pretty cool birthdays this week. You know, we had some pretty awesome birthday shout-outs. Crazy Cruiserweight, he guessed August Gray is heading for greener pastures. August Gray. Well, when I get into each person who is released today, I will give you my immediate reaction as to where I think they should go. You know, this obviously just happened. And I have a lot of things to talk about tonight, especially about this woman. That woman. Oh, I have a few things to say about that. Might surprise some people. I think in some way, shape, or form, 100% of you out there are going to agree with some of what I say. Some of what I say, I think, you know, you may not like, but we'll talk about her release. And if you don't know who she is, trust me, you'll want to know. But, yeah, August Gray, let go. Just never clicked. But like I said, when I get into it in a few moments, I honestly think I'm going to be extremely fair of how I feel about these releases. It's not pro WWE and it's not pro wrestler. You know, I'm just going to tell you exactly how I honestly feel about it, but thank you. King of Games 405, this Sunday will be 10 years since the CM Punk pipe bomb. Yeah, Mish and I had a conversation a few weeks ago about that it's already 10 freaking years. We talked last night that we're approaching the 14-year anniversary of the Benoit murders. What were my thoughts while watching the promo live? I loved it. I loved it. You know, CM Punk always saying what's on his mind. Obviously, some of it was, a lot of it was scripted. You know, WWE knew some of what was being done. I don't know about the Vince McMahon died stuff, but I will tell you, maybe what I'll do is I'll post the podcast episode online of the night that he cut the pipe bomb. And you could hear my immediate reaction right when Raw went off the air. I thought it was phenomenal. I will tell you that at the time, you know, a lot of people were talking about it. If you want to see, actually, you know what? If all of you out there want to see something cool, go on that website that I have been plugging to death the last couple of weeks. Go on Wayback Machine and go on some of these channels. I'm assuming you could go on Twitter, Facebook, whatever, and go back 10 years. Go back to the night that CM Punk cut his pipe bomb and see the reaction by a lot of fans. I think as the days went by, I think it became more and more and more. Once it sunk in, I do know that night we were pretty much like, wow, you know, I can't believe WWE allowed him to say this or allowed him to say that. This and I believe cutting the mic off was obviously part of the storyline, but I loved it. I loved it. So, absolutely loved it. James Pasco says, breaking news, one of the W in WWE was fired today. World Wrestling. If you're talking about the wrestling, like I said, I will give you my thoughts about all the releases in a moment. I will tell you this. I think 205 Live is pretty much coming to an end. I'm a little surprised that 205 Live lasted this long. I know this is going to sound weird to a lot of you out there, but once Enzo was gone from the Cruiserweight division and 205 Live, to me, it just, I don't know. And the funny thing is, I remember it clear as day, praising that Enzo was going to be, you know, in a Cruiserweight, you know what I mean? Just the Cruiserweight division, just everything about it. I loved it. And the 205 Live, everything. And a lot of people thought it was awful. Garbage. And I don't know. I don't know that. What does Murdoch say? Does this dude not know Corbin won the King of the Ring? Yeah. And so did, Mabel? Yeah. What does that mean? It's not a legit crown. Let me challenge him with this. Jay Murdoch, nice try. You go back and you watch SmackDown for the last year or two, and you show me a montage of how many times WWE said when Corbin was in the ring that the reason why he has the crown is because he won King of the Ring. Almost never would they bring up that he won King of the Ring. When he first won King of the Ring, they did the whole coronation ceremony. I'm sure I remember all of that. But after that, remember, he thought they tried to play it off that he was royalty. Look at Pat McAfee's promos when Nakamura started taking the crown. It wasn't about King of the Ring. It was about royalty. It turned into something totally different. That's what I'm talking about. Shit. I don't know that he won King of the Ring. Go back in my episodes and look at where I said I would love to see Baron Corbin be King of the Ring, and it all made sense. I remember even photoshopping him on the chair and photoshopping a crown to his head. The last time Corbin was relevant is when he dropped Becky Lynch. That's a good one, Mish. Mish, where were you before? I wanted him to come on to talk to releases, but I don't have it set up for that tonight. I'm sure we'll have a few things to say on Monday. In fact, you know what? On Monday, we're going to take some calls. So if any of you out there want to chat with us Monday about the releases, you can call in on Monday. We'll save some time for releases. But I will be talking about them tonight. But thank you, King of Games, for that. Curly Man, 172000. Just wanted to thank me for all entertaining the fans of wrestling. Thank you for giving us my time, the show, great show. I really appreciate that. Thank you. You know, absolutely love each and every one of you out there. You know, you drive me to become a better person. You drive me to become a better host. You drive me to become, you know, and you give me energy and fun. You know, having a lot of you out there, like, looking out for me in Thunderdome, and somebody's like, holy shit, there you are. Oh, here you are. And it's, oh, you're right at ringside. And, you know, I'm like, this, and having fun. You know, you guys make this all fun. You know, there are people out there that they do it simply for themselves and to have something to feel relevant with. But the fact that you stick by me after all of these years, you know, it's an incentive to do even more. That's why I feel so freaking guilty to not do a show tomorrow. But July 8th to the 12th, I'll be on vacation. That's only 2 weeks away. So I could work for you for 2 more weeks. So, but thank you, Curly Man. I really appreciate that. Sincerely appreciate that. Thank you. And AS7607, happy birthday again. Thank you so much for the love and support. And Crazy Cruiserweight for the generosity. I'm not going to lie. I was going to joke and say that was your briefcase, but I have more than one. I decided to have the briefcase out today, and it was in the background with the Thunderdome, and I think that might be the reason why I got a little bit of extra TV play today. But yeah, I'm gonna check out emails tonight before I crash, and I will be getting back to yours and everybody that emailed me in the last 2 days. So much love. Happy birthday again. Yeah, Steve Joseph, Arturo Ruas, Diamond Mind. He's gone also. He was in the last vignette hyping up Diamond Mind. And he was supposed to be one of the players of Diamond Mind. Like I said, when I get into the releases in a few moments, I will give you my honest opinions on what happened to some of these talents and why, honestly, you know, this might sound cold on the surface, but I hope you hear me out first. But on the surface, you know, it may come off as cold, but, you know, this is a job. And unfortunately, it's not a job for life. Maybe if you're Bret Hart in 1997, he thought he was going to have a 20-year or a lifetime contract. Maybe some people, but these wrestlers, it comes to an end sooner or later. Sometimes projects fail. Sometimes the vision doesn't match what happens on TV. Tucker, I like Tucker. But when Tucker now is trying to get attention saying that I was promised all this stuff, motherfucker, they didn't break your promises. You know, when they see you, oh my God, this guy, I think he could be world champion one day. I could see this, and I could picture that. I could picture this. And then as the time goes by, and everybody realized that Otis is the Shawn Michaels, and Tucker is not even the Marty Jannetty. Tucker is like, what the hell was that guy? What was the manager? Who was the? I actually, you know what? That'd be disrespectful to him. But I mean, come on. You know, you sign someone to a baseball team. Oh, you know, we think you'd be perfect in the future in center field, this and that. And then you realize, you know what? It's not that good. These people out there, broken promises. No, it's not broken promises. It's not broken promises. They had a vision, and I'm not defending WWE, but they had a vision for some people, and that vision ended up not happening. So what are you supposed to do? I know we promised you this, and I know we said this. but it's just not coming across on TV, and the storyline is not panning out, and the fans are not reacting. But we're going to give it to you anyway because it's the right thing to do. The fuck out of here. Everybody thinks they have the answers for other people's businesses. And I'm not defending WWE, but I have a few things to say about Arturo Ruas. Courtney Summers dropping in to remind people that releases are second chances. Stay positive. These people will be okay elsewhere. Well, Courtney, not always. Not always. I know Mish is in the chat right now. Much love to him. And he will attest to what I'm about to say. We've been doing this for many years. Me, I go back to 97. And sometimes when people get released, we turn around and we say, I don't know if we'll ever see this person ever again in wrestling. I don't know if we'll ever see this tag team ever in wrestling. The one that I always thought about more than anything was the Highlanders. I'm Robbie. I'm Rory. I'm Robbie. When they got released, I still have my podcast episode. It was just, I just don't see them. I don't see Impact picking them up. You see some people, they just disappear. You look at some wrestlers over the past bunch of years, they just fade away. It's a shame, but that's the case. So, as I go along, there's one or two that I don't think we're going to see much in wrestling anymore. Or, in the first place in some cases. But, well, you know what, Harris? Bo Dallas, I look at that as Ted DiBiase Jr. Ted DiBiase, and you know what? Also, Sean Stasiak. Sean Stasiak, always wanted a second chance at being in the limelight. And it didn't happen. But you know what? That guy became a doctor, and the guy has a successful practice, and he made a career out of it. Bo Dallas, you hear about his outside ventures. It sounds like Bo Dallas will be just fine. But us as wrestling fans, we miss the guy. We think the guy should have been further. So Rye, some will end up at a GameStop. Well, GameStop is really not, much like it used to be. But, you make it into what you can do. You take whatever you can take. That's why, when you hear me, and I even said this earlier today on social media, people throwing shade at that writer that got terminated, and they're all ripping her to pieces because she knew nothing about wrestling. And Lashley. And I'm like, most of the people, the loudest noise, are the ones who are unemployed. Worry about your own fucking job. Oh, I have a lot to say about that later on. But do not expect me to defend everything about her, because she made a huge, huge error as well. But, oh man, I can't wait for that. But when I say about people out there, worry about your own fucking job. I don't think you have any right to talk about, what Mirdo, he's a joke in AEW. To say, you have no right telling any wrestlers what they should and shouldn't do when you can't even do shit for yourself. And you know where I got that from? Shane Douglas. Shane Douglas, several years ago, ended up being a manager, I think, for Target. And I remember a bunch of people making fun of him. And I remember doing one of my episodes, and I think it was with Kevin. And a whole bunch of people, thought, LMAFO, LOL, price check in aisle 3. We need a cleanup. Mr. Douglas, we need a cleanup. And a whole bunch of people at my 123 flash chat at the time all thought it was funny. And it pissed me off. It pissed me off because that guy's got a family. He's got a family. When I interviewed him with the XPW sub, you go back, one of the topics, I still have that interview that I did in, 02? And believe me, I had no intentions on talking about Shane Douglas today. But just to show you how much I remember this and how much it pissed me off. When I interviewed him around 02, I think he had just had a newborn or his kid was very, very young. And I might have this name wrong because I haven't thought about this name in 19 years. But I remember him on my show saying, Connor Allen. It might be the name. And we were talking about, family. And then years later, the guy has to get a job at Target because he's got a family to take care of. And you got all these losers on social media online laughing that he's working in a Target, laughing that a female in TNA is working in a sunglass hut. But meanwhile, for the last 18 or 19 months during COVID, I can't work. I'm out of work. This is fucked up. I need money. I need stimulus. Stimulus. Give me stimulus. Acknowledge me. Acknowledge me. They would not work in a bodega. They would not work pumping gas. They would not work slicing coconuts. They would not work cleaning floors. They would not work in a Home Depot. Instead, sitting at home on social media for 18, 19 months. While everybody else is trying to take chicken shit and turn it into chicken salad. Acknowledge me. Acknowledge me. And the same shit happened again tonight with that woman. I'm going to have a field day with it in a little bit. So let me answer one more super chat, and we will have at it. It's nothing personal against anybody online, but it's just an overall statement. I always say, before you comment about someone else's backyard, make sure your backyard is in order as well. Jeffrey Collins, do I feel some storylines in NXT have to get changed with the recent releases like Everrise versus Hit Squad and Diamond Mine? Nope, not at all. Not at all. Everrise, you know what? Let's kick it off. Let's talk about the releases. And you know what? Jeff, if you don't mind, I'm going to take your comment down for a second. Let's kick it off with Everrise. All right. I have a couple of random tidbits that I wrote down on each one. So I had some facts in front of me. Everrise was released today. Now, if anybody tunes in to Wednesday Night Dynamite on a weekly basis, you know that for about 6 to 8 months, I have just expressed my absolute displeasure of Everrise. To me, they didn't click on TV. I felt bad about, people trying to compare them to the Young Bucks, which was very unfair. I even said this past Wednesday, they shouldn't change up their gear because people, but those two guys never clicked. And when I was doing quarter-hour ratings and showing you every single time they would wrestle, their quarter-hour would be either the biggest drop or one of the biggest drops of the night. And when you're hired in 2019 and you keep being given opportunity, and meanwhile, you can't produce, you can't get the WWE Universe to click. That might be WWE's fault. In fact, for a lot of these people released today, it might be WWE's fault. Well, guess what? That's what happens when you get into a job in the world of WWE. Somebody was talking to me yesterday about, I think it was Elizabeth, saying that, maybe she heard that from some people in the UK that the biggest reason or the major reason why Keith Lee is off TV is because WWE's trying to trademark his name and there's a big dispute and this and that. And I said, it could be part of it, but I don't think it's the big issue because Keith Lee knows going into WWE that, they want to own the rights to, this when you go into that company. You know that you're going to be given an opportunity, but you also have to do it. WWE is the employer, not the WWE Universe. Not me, not you, not anybody on social media, not people who have 100,000 subscribers or 5. It's WWE. We don't like it, but we keep watching it. So if you are just bad out of shit, fed up with the way WWE does things, don't watch them anymore. Don't watch them anymore. They're not going to change for you and me. That is their mindset. And it's very hard to argue when they are a billion-dollar-plus company. So they were given opportunity after opportunity after opportunity, and it did not work. They did this podcast thing, and all I read today is, oh, that podcast was hilarious. Well, guess what? WWE didn't sign them to be podcasters. They signed them to be tag team wrestlers, and it didn't work. So they are out of a job. But, you know, how many months were we doing that joke? Will ever rise, ever rise? It's not them personal against those guys. They are talented. In fact, you know what? I think they should go to Impact Wrestling. I actually think they would be an okay fit in Impact Wrestling. Their character might blend in with them a lot better. And I actually hope they land a job in Impact Wrestling. You know, soon. But look, no matter who is released today, I wish them well. No question. But when you get a job with WWE, there's no guarantee you're going to be there for a year, 10 years, 10 months. And when WWE does make cuts, you know, again, the stock went up today $1. As soon as the releases started, they closed out after hours trading. They were up $1. Why? Because investors see. And let me say this right from the beginning. If WWE's not trying to be cold right now, and I'm not defending them, but what they are doing right now is they're not wasting any money at all. NXT, they're making it smaller because they are not going to be doing as many house shows as before for the time being. There's no reason to. They're not, and here's the most important thing also. They're not going to, let me say it like this, the days of WWE keeping 30, 40 people on the roster where they get used once a month, those days are over. This guy, Nick Khan, I know, you know, it's the in thing to do is to rip him, and Tony is the only Khan of them all, and I get that. But Nick Khan is a very successful businessman. And guess fucking what? Nick Khan was not this tremendous, unbelievable wrestling fan. This guy, it's business. It's not personal. He doesn't give a shit if you're married to someone in the company. He doesn't give a shit if you're there for 10 years. He doesn't give a shit if you're there for 10 months. If you have people on that roster that they have nothing for, or you have 2 wrestlers signed and they're doing a podcast, that's it. You know, and you give them opportunity on TV and it doesn't click. They are trimming all of the roster that is not needed. It may sound cold, but that's how you run a business. Any of you out there, if you have a relative that runs a business, runs a deli, runs a candy store, you got a candy store, Lotto and cigarettes. Lotto and cigarettes. Would you have 8 people working there? Yeah, but they don't come in every day. They come in 2-3 days a week, 2 days a week. Do you need 8 people there? No. So let's get rid of 4 of them. Yeah, but that's fucked up. What does that mean? What does that mean? It's fucked up. That's what people said tonight. It's fucked up. What does that mean? Enzo's in the chat. Where's Enzo in the chat? No, you're serious? You liar. You liar. I don't see Enzo hanging out in the chat. That would be fucking sweet, man. Still, if it's the Enzo, I still absolutely love the congrats he gave me and my fiance back in November of 19. You have no idea the smile you put on her face. Kind of pissed me off because I got laid that night, and I honestly thought I heard her say, "Oh, Enzo." The real Enzo. Much love, my friend. Much love. Thank you for that again. But look, I'm not crapping on these guys, but that's what happens. You're not going to keep 40, 50 extra people on the roster because it's the right thing to do. It's not the way you run business. They had 2 years. It didn't work out. And, I wish them well. I really wish them well. So, I'm saving one of my favorite all-time tag teams, in the last 10 years. I'm going to say Breezango for last. Let's talk about another tag team. Oop, too big. There we go. Tony Nese and Daivari. All right. Now, here's the thing with Tony Nese and Daivari. All right. Tony Nese, I have his age. I wrote it down. Tony Nese is 35 years old. Tony Nese is from my neck of the woods. It's from my neck of the woods. Very, very well respected around here. That guy won the Cruiserweight Championship at WrestleMania. That is fucking awesome. All right. Tony Nese was always a top talent from my neck of the woods. And he had an unbelievable physique, and that didn't come overnight. He worked his ass off. And even when he first signed with WWE, he didn't have those abs like he does now. Unfortunately, and we could throw this right out of the way, 205 Live, I think, is on the chopping block. They are trimming a lot of these matches. I think that's one of the reasons why you got Karrion Kross and Bronson Reed on main event today. Because why keep these extra people on the roster where you could pull somebody from here and pull someone from here and pull someone from here? Picture, and I'm not in favor, I feel bad for all these guys, but picture WWE films like 205 Live. WWE films. Mish did a fabulous job on his show talking about WWE films and what was being consolidated. After all of these years that they had all these departments with WWE films and other, Nick Khan went in there and looked at everything and said, why do we need 20 people here? Why do we need 10 people here? We're in 2021. This is not 1991. This is not 2001 where you went on the internet with 33 point whatever, 6 kbps, 56K modem. Oh my God. You know what it's like in the early 2000s with a 56K modem and you want to whip out the Jit Gel rag and you're downloading a picture and what used to happen that time? You want to see a naked picture. You want to, have some fun on a Saturday night, lonely. You go to download the picture. You have the 56K modem. And you know what always happened to yours truly? The eyes would load. The nose would load. Keep going. The chin would load. The neck would load. And then all of a sudden, no. I don't need the belly button. No, keep going down. And you'd get like part of this and part of this and part of the middle. And by the time the whole picture loaded, I'm going to go get something to eat instead. We're in 2021. You don't need 50 people in this day and age with technology. Look at me with this freaking podcast stuff. I'm still learning stuff. But this was 10 years ago. You need one person for this. You need one person for that. You need the person for this. You got to switch this over. Just the same thing is happening with their roster. They're streamlining. They're tightening it up. The days of having 20, 30, 40 people working once a month are over. And in the case of Tony Nese and Daivari, I personally think that they were at the top of their game right now. But you get rid of 205 Live. What are you going to do with them? Seriously, I'm not trying to be cold. What are you going to do with them? Daivari goes to NXT. Do you realize how many people he has to leapfrog? The only way he leapfrogs is if WWE put him in some huge storyline or controversial, whatever it is. And what do you do? What do you do? It's very easy to complain and say, wow, that's fucked up. But then what? Okay, we'll put him in NXT. Now what? What is he going to do? Be squashed by everybody? If you're going to do that, when you squash someone and they get squashed over and over and over again, You use someone that you paid $200, $300, $500 for. Now it's someone that you signed for $50,000, $60,000 a year. Who wants to see Daivari get squashed? Not me. Who wants to see Tony Nese get squashed? Not me. You're going to waste him on the main roster or NXT just to lose? Just to lose? Tony Nese, you get to the point where your abs are so good, people don't like him. Jealousy. So what is he going to do? He's going to be on these shows, he's going to be a heel, and he's going to get squashed by Bronson Reed over and over again. Best thing for these two guys is to find work elsewhere. I think Daivari would be a great fit in either Impact Wrestling or Ring of Honor. Tony Nese, I actually would like to see him in MLW. I'd like to see him even possibly, work a little bit in AEW. I actually think he would actually fit in quite nicely there. Daivari would as well. What about 206 Live? What about you go take your medicine, Tony? I'm only kidding. Much love. Much love. But these two guys, Tony Nese is 35. Daivari is 32. Tony Nese has been there since 2016, as has been Daivari. So they had 5 years with WWE. Maybe they should have gone further in that company. But, for 5 years, and the fact that Tony Nese got a WrestleMania opportunity and to get that spotlight, that's something you can't take away from him. Now, keep in mind, he is 35. So unless he has some significant change in his persona, you get towards 40, and you're not like a major name for a promotion. Tony Nese, I think, will do a decent job on the indie circuit, maybe land one of those companies. But, it's going to be a rough challenge for him to be brought back to WWE, because if you bring him back, what about him makes him leapfrog a whole bunch of others? And that's what's missing. If you notice today, whether people want to admit it or not, if you put a wand up, one of those Men in Black wands, with the exception of Breezango, honestly, with the exception of Breezango, if I lifted one of those wands and everybody that got released today never were in the WWE in the first place, our wrestling fandomhood would be no different right now. Nobody changed our lives as wrestling fans or made any impact like that where, you're going to just have all these fond memories, except for Breezango. I'm talking about the releases today. So I wish them well. Let's see what ends up. Now, let's get a few others out of the way. August Gray. August Gray, not there that long. Anthony Green, not there that long. He's been there for 10 months. 10 months. Anthony Green. I've been on video for 10 months. And if you remember when he first got signed, there was a lot of great things being said about him. The guy is super, super talented. Unfortunately, though, it just never clicked to the next level. You couldn't figure out where he was going to fit in. And, he would have been good in NXT if used on a regular basis. But against who? Against who? I always put him in the same category as Tyler Rust. I also put him in the same category as Kurt Stallion. You got guys that are talented, but there might be something missing. In the case of Anthony Green, there was something missing. The WWE Universe, the NXT fans, they never really got behind this guy. I don't remember who it was, but one of the persons that got released today only has about 7,000 followers on Twitter. I don't remember which one it was. But when I saw that, I'm like, wow, you're in WWE. People follow you by default. Seriously, if a mouse got signed, oh, we feel bad for this mouse. He only has 3 feet. Oh, well, you know what? His tail is cut off. We're gonna make him our mascot. And he's the WWE mascot, a mouse. And his a Twitter account, Mouse WWE. He'd probably have 50,000 followers. After all this time, you only have 7,000 followers. Something is not right. And the problem with Austin Gray is, who's he going to surpass? Who's he going to leapfrog over? All these people, like I said, well, you know what? I said before, Breezango, there's one other person that surprised me that got released today also. But, and you know what's sad about it? I don't even think I have a picture of him tonight. Actually, I do. The preview for tonight, the thumbnail. But it was so late in the day, I didn't get a chance to put a picture together for him. But even looking back on him, 6 months from now, you're going to think about the faction. You're not going to think about the wrestler. So I wish him well. I think he's got to go. He's got to go to Ring of Honor or Impact Wrestling. I actually think he'd be better in Impact Wrestling. I don't know why, but for some reason, I'm just thinking of Ethan Page. I know they don't look the same, and I know they don't wrestle the same, but I get that vibe that I think he could fill the void that Ethan Page left when he was gone from Impact Wrestling. So I want to see him, you know what? Yeah, I want to see him in Impact Wrestling. I think he'd be great in Impact Wrestling. And the one thing about these wrestlers, a lot of them, you're not going to break the bank. You should be able to afford. If you can't afford some of these people that got released, then you shouldn't be having a promotion. That's just my opinion. So I wish him well, and by the way, talk about how these are unexpected. On 205 Live this weekend, he takes on, who does he take on? Oh, Grayson Waller, excuse me, Walker. He's going to be on 205 Live, and he tweeted earlier today that it's now a loser leaves town match. So, he had a match, and they still released him. That's how abrupt this is. They have a meeting, and Nick Khan is reviewing all of these employees and seeing what they have done. And like I said, 205 Live, I think, is going to be the biggest casualty out of all of this. And you take one by one and you say, okay, if we drop 205 Live, where could this person fit in? Where could he fit in? He's going to go to SmackDown and do what? Feud with Cesaro? Feud with Rollins? That's not happening. That's not happening. It's not going to go out there. What's your name, son? August Gray. Ruthless aggression. It's fantasy. So put him in Impact. In the case of some of these wrestlers, let them become a semi-household name for these other promotions. Then you could bring them back. If Anthony Green could land, a spot on Impact or AEW or something else, and he shines, you could possibly see him back in WWE. WWE signs a lot of these guys and thinks that they could make them into stars. And then you realize there are some guys that are uber talented, but it might be better to bring them in once they are mini stars in other federations. So, we wish him well. Now we go to the next one. The Bollywood boys, the Singh brothers. They've been in WWE since 2016. I enjoyed them with Jinder Mahal. Kind of reminded me of J&J Security with Seth Rollins. I enjoyed them with Jinder Mahal. But you don't sign two talented cruiserweights just to take crazy bumps and get their ass kicked over and over again. Randy Orton didn't get the opportunity to squash them on the way out, by the way. But, they were in WWE for almost 5 years. And, they had a decent run. I tell you another thing. I thought that they would stick around for being part of maybe the what was going on with Saudi Arabia. You know, I don't know what that relationship looks like a year from now, but you would have some of these wrestlers represent and be involved in outside projects in different countries, and they were not kept around for that either. But then again, think about this. Elizabeth, Mike from New York, Big T, Marvin, James, Tony, and the list goes on and on. Shout out to all of you. Much love. If you all don't mind, I would be very, very appreciative if you could take a moment while I rant and just hit that like button, that thumbs up. I appreciate it. The more you do that, you can only do it one per show. But when you do that, and the more of you do that, the more that tells YouTube you like the show, you recommend it to others, and then we get other people that find out about the show that aren't even made aware of it. So I'd appreciate it. And out of that begging, a total of 2 people did it. I know there's some podcasts that will just do this and not say nothing until it reaches a number. So I'm not going to break anybody's arms to do it, but if you could do it, I'd appreciate it. So the Singh brothers, I mean, they were brought in with Jinder Mahal. If you remember, I cracked the joke earlier, a month or 2 ago, when Jinder Mahal showed up on Raw with his other 2 partners, and I'm like, wow, the Singh brothers were taking their vitamins, saying their prayers. They got huge. I think that might have been the writing on the wall, that the Singh brothers were on their way out since they didn't return with Jinder Mahal. But then again, WWE wants Jinder Mahal's, those 2 wrestlers, one of them from Indira Shear, they want them to be their own tag team. I can see them going up with the Viking Raiders. The Singh brothers were just being tossed around. So, they got a good opportunity, 5 years. Now they move on. I personally think they probably would be a good fit in Ring of Honor or MLW. Impact Wrestling, a possibility. But the thing is, we already talked about Everrise being in Impact Wrestling. I think Impact Wrestling could pick up 2 tag teams. They definitely need more tag teams. So the Singh brothers could very well make it to Impact. In fact, the more I think about it, I think Impact might be the ideal place for them. But, we wish them well. Oh, too big of a picture. Sorry. Kurt Stallion. Okay. Kurt Stallion signed in October of 2020, as did Anthony Green. Kurt Stallion, the same thing. Extremely talented wrestler. No character. It's not his fault. WWE never really created a character for the guy. COVID was still in full force, so you didn't need to use as many people. Meanwhile, 6 months have gone by, 8 months have gone by, and you got this guy under contract, and you're not doing nothing with the guy. So that's why he was let go as well. He had a wrist injury that kept him out of action for a little while. And he's another case. Do you realize how many people he has to leapfrog? WWE doesn't want to bring him in just to be squashed. They want to turn him into a star. Just never came about. Now, I'm sure when they signed him, I'm sure they told him, we think you would be a great star here. We would love to see you this. We think you could do this and do that and do this. And he didn't get any of that. I don't think he's going to call WWE a liar. Things don't pan out sometimes. They don't pan out. So I think he goes to Ring of Honor. I think Ring of Honor or MLW would be the perfect stop for Kurt Stallion. He is very young still. So if he gets a little bit more notoriety, you know me, I'm not one to talk about gaining or losing weight. I certainly shouldn't say anything about losing weight, because, I could still lose quite a few pounds. But I think if he builds on his physique a little bit, I think he could, my God, you look at even some wrestlers that used to be in Ring of Honor like Tyler Black and others. They were smaller back then. So I think if he works on his physique a little bit more and gets a little more seasoning, gets a little bit of a character behind him, not goofy or anything like that, I think he could possibly come back. So Yeah, people are still talking about the Singh Brothers in Impact Wrestling. Yeah, I think they would be a perfect fit in Impact Wrestling. So we wish them well. Moving on. Marina Shafir. You know, it was funny on Wednesday. I guess I gave her bad luck because I thought Marina Shafir was released already. And, you know, someone always calls me out on things. He's like, she wasn't released. So I had responded to him on YouTube because I comment almost on everybody. I always respond to your comments. And I wrote back, I'm like, Jimmy, thank you. Thank you for clarifying that for me. And then today she got released. So you know what I had to do? I deleted my YouTube comment because now I'm right. But look, the wife of Roderick Strong, there's a late report. I don't know if it's legit or not. I will find out. But there was some late word coming in that they were going to repackage her and change her name. I don't know if that's true. But Marina Shafir, they really never did much of anything. We saw that Raw Underground appearance. And this is another case where, you know, COVID hit and a lot of people were put on the sidelines, didn't have the opportunity to create and build and develop. And she ended up being a casualty over it. You know, I know everybody fantasized the Four Horsewomen versus the Four Horsewomen. I bought into it. I would have loved to see it. But unfortunately, it never worked out. No reason why she can't come back in the future. Right now, though, it's not happening. Now the big question is, where does she go? That's a tough one. That is a tough one. It depends if she wants to continue training. I don't mean training like, you know, like I'm talking about learning. She could possibly get some work in AEW, but I think she would probably have to be part of one of the schools that's involved, you know, like Hudat or Cody or Dustin. And I don't know. If you're going to keep her as is and use her for a promotion, maybe Ring of Honor. I don't know about anyone else. She is a wild card because you got to understand some of the backgrounds of some of the people that were brought in didn't have this extensive wrestling career. Okay, somebody that I don't know if it's 100% confirmed if he's been released or not. But right before I went into Thunderdome, a few people were telling me that Tino Sabatelli was released. Now, right now, about 80% of you out there are saying, who? Who? Tino Sabatelli, you know, they signed. He left, had a dark match in AEW. They brought him back last year, and it didn't work out. He doesn't have that long of a wrestling career. So some of the people who were let go don't have a long wrestling career, you know, to fall back on. So I don't know what happens with Marina Shafir. Okay, Psycho is saying he gone. He gone. So Tino Sabatelli is added to the list. So Marina Shafir, I don't know what she does. I think that she obviously needs to continue honing her skills. And the big question is where. I think AEW is a possibility, but I think you would probably see her on Dark, Elevation. No way Dynamite. Not right now. I don't care if her name was Royalty. I don't think that's a possibility. So she is gone. Next on the list, this guy, Arturo Ruas. I freaking like Arturo Ruas. This is one guy that unfortunately I have a feeling where we probably have seen, I don't want to say the last of him in wrestling, but I don't know what you do with this guy. I honestly don't know what you do with this guy. This guy obviously does not have the extended background wrestling career. I'm looking at some information. He was signed by WWE in 2015. 2015. Which sounds wrong. I mean, that's the info I got online, but he had a few injuries. I thought he was going to be perfect for Raw Underground, and Raw Underground stopped. COVID screwed all that up. The guy is not bad, but the problem is, I don't think he'll get an opportunity like a Steve Blackman or someone who has like a background in a different sport and is given time to develop a persona. Arturo Ruas, unless maybe he's like a bodyguard for someone, or just like a hitman. I'm not saying, but hitman, just more of a bodyguard. Then I could see it. But as far as him showing up for a wrestling promotion, he doesn't have much of a character. This is not the 80s or the 90s where you have a whole bunch of different gigantic promotions with tons of managers, where you could have Gary Hart or somebody come out and say, this is my latest, member of the family, or, he's a monster, he's a machine. And he just stands there like this. He needs a mouthpiece. Who's going to be the mouthpiece? So Arturo Ruas, I have said in the past that I like the guy. I think the guy could fit in, was never given an opportunity. Remember what I said a week ago? He was on the last vignette for Diamond Mine. And, I had him on the silhouette when I hyped up Wednesday's show, because everything that I was told is, he's going to be part of Diamond Mine. And then he showed up on that vignette. I'm like, oh, cool. And then that's it, released. By the way, Daivari he was on vacation. He found out about this while on vacation. But Arturo Ruas is gone. I don't know where he shows up. I think he has to be like a henchman or a bodyguard for someone. Or he needs a mouthpiece. And there's not too many of them out there. So I'm a little concerned as far as his future in wrestling. So, person I don't have a picture of, and look, I could download one really quick, but you all know who he is. But Killian Dain was let go. Killian Dain. You might remember in the last couple of weeks, we vented on the Wednesday episode. What the hell did they do with him and Drake Maverick? I mean, they killed that momentum with that team. They did that one spot where I think it was Pat McAfee and Pete Dunne and Lorcan and Birch outside. They beat the shit out of Killian Dain and left him in a pile of black and white blood and put everything on hiatus. And that was the beginning of the end of that team. Every time they were on TV, it just didn't seem to click. They had that storyline with Tease and Imperium, and Alexander Wolf ended up getting let go. And remember, they tried to tease that Killian Dain was going to join Imperium. And, Drake Maverick was devastated and brokenhearted. But they did so much damage to that tag team. How are they going to possibly leapfrog all the other tag teams that are in NXT? I'm a little concerned about Drake Maverick now. I mean, I don't know what you do with Drake Maverick. I mean, they're still going to have a cruiserweight division. You probably see Drake Maverick take on Kushida sooner than later. But, and then what? So, right now, Killian Dain, Nikki Cross is the last person still in WWE from that group Sanity. And I know a lot of you out there thought that group was going to be phenomenal. And it never panned out. I mean, they could have changed the name, but for some reason, WWE was just not having that faction once it went to the main roster. Killian Dain, I believe, is 35 years old, 36 years old. So, you know, he has got a hell of a lot of talent. So he should have no problem getting work pretty much anywhere. As far as the promotions go, man, you know, that's a tough one. Like, where would you think Killian Dain would fit in? I don't know if I don't think AEW would be a good spot, especially since AEW has a hard time managing the big boys. So I don't know. It's kind of rough. Ring of Honor, I don't see fitting in all that great. It comes down to Impact Wrestling, MLW, or he just floats around the indies for a little while. Maybe he floats around the indies. You know, he's married to Nikki Cross. So, you know, he ain't gonna, I don't see him like going overseas. He could very well do that. Yeah, I could see him maybe doing something in the UK, but maybe Impact. You know what? Eddie Valentino says he could join up with Eric Young. That's not bad. That's not bad. Maybe, you know what? Maybe they can do in Impact what they should have done in WWE, but wasn't given the opportunity to do so. And that could be the chip on Killian Dain's shoulder. Show up on Impact. Eric Young still has a tremendous chip on his shoulder. Those two guys, yeah, maybe they could tear it up. A lot of people in the chat room agree. So we'll see. I wish him well. These two guys, man, I can't believe. Shit, that photo sucks. I thought I had a better photo than this. What's with this background shit? It's going to have to do. Can't start resetting stuff now. Breezango. I have talked so much about Breezango over the last couple of years. I mean, two guys that just clicked. Hilarious. All the skits. They weren't being paid a tremendous amount of money. They just hosted the greatest, 50 greatest tag teams. When they were on the main roster, remember we talked about it a month ago. When they had that match with Harper and Rowan, that night they should have been tag team champions. WWE didn't pull the trigger. Didn't give them the belts. And I think WWE always treated them like a joke. You know, not always. I'm just saying in latter years. The detective stuff was hilarious. I mean, there are so many memorable segments. They are free. Out of everybody who's been, I'll tell you the truth. I know a lot of people were upset about, you know, the Iconics and others. Out of everybody, I'm probably bummed about these two guys being let go more than anything else. Now, look, Fandango's been there for over a decade. And Tyler Breeze has got to be there around a decade as well. I think Fandango might have been there 13, 14 years. That is a long time to be employed with WWE. You know, I still feel they had a lot to offer. But WWE, and you know I have talked about this over the last year, their ratings on NXT were horrible. And that's because of the way WWE portrayed them. Suddenly they became number one contenders, and a lot of people didn't buy into it because we can tell, we can see when WWE truly puts the momentum behind the team. And they gave them the belts, and everybody was like, okay, when are they going to drop it? Because it just felt WWE never put complete confidence in them as a serious team. They were lovable, funny, you know, just charismatic, but still, you know, it just felt that WWE never really gave it to them. Okay, Royal Soldier says Fandango came in around 2010. So, yeah, about 11 years. All right. My God. All those vignettes. That night, they had the video of the fans in the train. Everybody's doing Fandango. John Cena, after Raw went off the air, he was doing the Fandango. The entire crowd was doing the Fandango. And you might remember, I said, you know, when Jungle Boy came out to that song, I said, that's the new Fandango song. Remember the night I heard it? That's the new Fandango song. Fandango, he got the win, I think his debut against Jericho at WrestleMania, which was a shock to all of us. We were completely shocked when that happened. Remember when he had that girl, the dancing partner? What was the girl's name with the short brown hair? She was not a wrestler. She came in and she was gone as quickly as she came in. But look, Breezango entertained me so much over the years that it's a shame. It's a shame that they were let go. One thing you could say for the last year and a half, 2 years, and I brought this up a couple of months ago. Every year WWE has releases. Every year, as Mish would call it, there's a bus flip. You know, we went through a list. One episode, I went through a list. I went year by year of people who were let go. And in years past, there were even big, huge names being let go. Every year, there's a turnover. It's nothing different. This year is turnover again. But the thing is, in a lot of years, you're surprised about some people, but you don't each year think like, wow, I really wish they wouldn't have released that person. You know what I mean? Like you just, and I think over the last year and a half, there's been people that really felt, I mean, Drake Maverick broke through and got his job back. Samoa Joe broke through and got his job back. But in the case of Breezango, a lot of people out there today were just absolutely, you know, in agreement that they can do so much still. And WWE never really, you know, put the momentum behind them. They were more of just like comedy, skits, and they did it well. So where do I think they should go? I think Impact Wrestling. I really think Impact Wrestling needs to rebuild and rebuild fast. Get away from the AEW relationship because it's not helping them. Even if, you know, the financial side is not tremendous, they need to really repair themselves. And you got some people here that would do a great job. I think they can do wonders there. I don't think AEW would allow them to be as creative as they are now. Impact Wrestling has that comedy side with the Wrestle House and some of the things they did with Sinister Minister. I think they could still do it. So we will see what happens. They were let go, and it's a bummer, man. It's a bummer. Out of everybody who got released, those two guys, I was like, that sucks. But you also got to acknowledge the fact that WWE has really, they've treated them as, WWE just feels that they're not valuable enough to just keep doing more skits. So they would let go. They would let go. I thought this was so cool that Tyler Breeze wrote today. I'll share it with you. And the funny thing is, I don't know if Tyler Breeze even knew he was released. I didn't, you know, maybe he did know. But if you really read this, it feels like the way he wrote it, they were not going to be together again anytime soon. For those on audio, Tyler Breeze wrote, and I quote, "Friend appreciation post. Can't say enough good things about this man. Austin is not only one of my best friends, but is also a damn great human. One of the first people I met and wrestled when I was hired by WWE. We quickly became very close and essentially grew up together in the WWE. Been through a ton of times good and bad together, but but always come out on the other side better. The amount of time and effort he put in, not only to build up, up, down, down into a huge success, but also form a close-knit group of hardworking individuals who pump out content daily. He has helped numerous people get a job or keep a job, and has been a shining light in a irreplaceable cog in this wheel, opening up multiple opportunities for not only himself, but being so adamant in opening doors for his inner circle as well. Not many people would do that, and it's something that he should be celebrated for. I know I owe a ton to him, and so do several others, never asking for acknowledgement or praise, but just continuing to work hard and see where his limits are, which it doesn't seem like he has any. All of this, and not even mentioning that he's a father, a husband, and working on his PhD. He is the epitome of having no excuses and creating the life you want to live. Austin, I love you, and thank you for everything as well as being my friend. There is no one I'd rather annoy and make angry. I honestly think Tyler Breeze was not aware that he was going to be released. I think he feared being released once he heard about Fandango. But the way that was written, it felt like, goodbye as a team for now. But I think they will reunite, and I think they would be a tremendous asset still. So, yeah, never asking for acknowledgement. And you know what? If you look closely at some WWE wrestlers today, they went out of their way towards Fandango, I think, more than anybody else who was released today. Seriously. So, much love, much love. Now, one last person we need to talk about. By the way, I got to do something really quick. Got to update this so we don't have a disconnection. But best wishes go out to Montez Ford. Montez Ford has an injury, so he will be out for a little bit of time. I think he actually posted a photo of himself in a recovery room in a hospital, or his room. Torn intercostal cartilage and a partial rib fracture. I don't think he'll be out all that long. I don't know, 6 weeks, 2 months. So, they did a little bit of the beatdown with Otis, taking out Angelo Dawkins also. So Montez Ford will be out for a little while. So again, we wish him speedy recovery. Now, yeah, Otis injured Montez, but the week before he attacked Angelo Dawkins. So before we go tonight, let's talk about Kenice Mobley. Miss Mobley. Yeah, Royal and a few others saying that the prognosis is 2 months. That sounds about right for the injury he had. Kenice Mobley. Comedian. I don't know if any of you out there really know a lot of her backdrop, but she's a comedian. She was featured on Stand Up NBC, Vice News, which Tonight Show, controversial skit that she did, beat BET Awards. She's got interesting resume. WWE hired her about 3 weeks ago to be a writer in the company. Now, I'm going to just throw it out there. Number one, I made a post on Twitter earlier, and I didn't follow up with it because I'm not looking for tweet sex about this topic. She was there for 3 weeks, and she's gone. I gave my thoughts on it. I think people were wasting a hell of a lot of time dissing her when their own employment status needs to be improved. You worry about your own backyard before you rip others. And I want to make clear what pissed me off about a lot of people today. Think of what I said earlier about Shane Douglas and Target. Okay? Keep that on your brain when I'm talking about this. She got the job, and she had posted something 3 weeks ago, her saying that she's going to not get as much sleep because now she's got a job writing for WWE. Okay. No issues with that. Until she went on a podcast. And what was the name of the podcast? Hold on. I got it right here. The Asian, Not Asian podcast. She went on this podcast and she commented about being hired by WWE. Now, before I give you my opinion on Miss Mobley, I want to read you what she said on this podcast that just ruffled feathers all across social media today. Well, the last day or two. On this podcast, when asked about being employed or hired by WWE, listen close at this. She says, and I quote, "Yes, I have just been hired by WWE. Given the things that you know about me in my entire life and what I'm into, yes, that's surprising. Yes, also surprise for me. They did not require me to know anything about wrestling, but I do have a background in film production and comedy writing, and they're like, perfect, come in. So I'm on the Monday Night Raw team. So there's Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown, and the people that I know are on it are Bobby. His name is either Bobby Ashley or Bobby Lashley, and I really should know that. He's like this giant black guy, and he and the people who are part of his crew, I know that they call, or at least they, as of last year, they called themselves the Hurt Business. They wear suits, and they're like, we're cool. That pissed off the net because she has no knowledge of wrestling. And people lost their shit today saying, good, get out. We don't need you in wrestling. Gatekeepers. Go on Urban Dictionary and look up what a gatekeeper is. I usually use the other G word, goofy. The gatekeepers were out today. Oh, you don't know anything about wrestling? You have no business being a writer in WWE. Here's my take on this, and hear me out. She applied for a job. She has a background in film and production and writing. She filled out an application, sent a resume in, and WWE was interested. Based on the logic of these gatekeepers today, she should have turned around and said, hold. Let me learn your product first. Give me a few weeks or a few months so I could learn WWE and everybody there and the storylines, and then I'll work for you. She applied for a job that says knowledge of wrestling not required. What did she do wrong? Forget the podcast for a minute. Keeping it separate. Because a lot of people out there, tried to take what my complaint was and mix in the podcast. What I said had nothing to do with the podcast. And by the way, when I do bring up the podcast, yes, she should have never said what she said. But people are out there are ripping her to pieces saying, she has no business, working for WWE. She knows nothing about wrestling. Once again, getting angry at the wrong person. She didn't do anything wrong applying for that job. WWE put on there, no wrestling knowledge necessary. What if I told you that on the writing team right now, they have people hired that knew nothing about wrestling? What if I told you that 5 years ago, they had people hired that knew nothing about wrestling? What if I told you 10 years ago, people were hired that knew nothing about wrestling? Nothing different here. They were looking for someone to write with that background. She applied for it, and they hired her. What did she do wrong with that? If you want to get mad at WWE for hiring people that don't understand wrestling, that don't know wrestling, I totally respect your take on that. But people throwing shade at Miss Mobley today and yesterday because she knew nothing about wrestling and she said Lashley's name wrong. She's applying for a job. I got news for you. I'm not comparing me to her, but when I applied for Smith Barney in 1988 to work for them, I knew nothing about Smith Barney. I knew nothing about the stock market. I knew nothing about their I knew nothing about them. I wanted a fucking job. I thought I was qualified. I love Dave Meltzer. I subscribe to his newsletter. I'm one of the few people out there that like Meltzer and Vince Russo. But Dave Meltzer was so off today trying to compare it to a surgeon that if a surgeon is, his expertise in this, and this, but doesn't do surgery and you get high, we're talking about a form of entertainment here. I mean, this is a form of entertainment. And she was hired to be a writer. For all you know, she could have ended up being a damn good one. But people ripped the shit out of her because she knew nothing about pro wrestling. I think that's just absolutely ridiculous. Worry about your own employment. And guess what? Remember what I said about COVID for the last 18 months? If you worked before as a secretary or in an office or something, and COVID ruined your job, and you go and get a job for a chain restaurant you never heard of before, if you are experienced and you fit the criteria, you mean to tell me that you shouldn't get the job because you don't know everything about that history? She applied for a job application. WWE is the one that said wrestling, knowledge of wrestling, not necessary. That is nothing new. That has been going on for decades. Raw sucks. No question. Sucks more than it's good. Pro wrestling, WWE has been on the decline for a long time. But to turn around and to make it sound like Miss Mobley or someone else that's on a writing team that knows nothing about wrestling before they're there, that you don't know if they're the reason or not. You're just taking every employee and you're bundling them together and you're making them responsible for it. Be angry at WWE for putting that criteria. But I got news for you. If you out there are looking for a job right now and you know how to type, you know how to answer a phone, but if you've never been a telemarketer or a secretary or customer service or collections or this and that, but you've done a lot of things around it, somebody may give you a shot. Well, you know what? He or she knows how to do this. All right, maybe we can put it together. You tell me you're going to say, oh, no. Give me a couple of months to understand. It's ridiculous. She was applying for a job. WWE hired her. That's it. There's no controversy here. People lost their lunch today over this. And again, it brought me back to the Shane Douglas stuff. And it's usually people that just want to rip WWE, want to rip, anything, complain, bitch. And in a lot of cases, their own employment status is all fucked up. And I guarantee you, most of these people that ripped her today, that aren't working themselves, if they had the opportunity to get a job, somebody showed me a tweet today. No, I'm not going to bring it up. It's not even necessary. Don't even need to give people play. Bottom line is this. She fit the criteria that WWE was looking for, and she applied for a job. She didn't do anything wrong. Now, the podcast, though, huge error. Now, when she said that she was a little bit surprised that WWE hired her, you have to understand her stand-up, her, what she has done in the world of entertainment. She's very outspoken, and she tells it like it is. Honestly, she made a huge mistake going on that podcast and acting like, it surprised me that they hired me in this and that. If I hire somebody for a job, I don't even care about making a mistake for Lashley's name. But you get hired for a job, and please, Soldier, don't do that. Don Tony, I heard the story, and I thought she had some stuff dug up, and she did nothing wrong. Oh, my apologies. I thought you were saying that people dug up stuff about her. Yeah, it's not. There's no skeletons like that. Her style is a lot different than what WWE, corporate-wise. No, my apologies, Soldier. I thought you were going in a different direction. My apologies. But the thing is with this podcast is when you get hired from a billion-dollar company that is very, very visible out there, like WWE, and you actually go on a podcast that says, even I'm surprised they hired me. And she's mentioning black. Again, look at some of her appearances on TV. It's controversial. WWE doesn't want this to turn into things about race and having name drops and comedic stuff and just joking around. They want her to write and not have the focus on her and her persona and the way she is. That she made a huge mistake about. And should she have gotten fired over it? I don't know. But when I read what she read, I didn't care about not knowing wrestling. Did Nick Khan know wrestling? Was he a wrestling fan? Did he understand? Seriously, anyone out there? Did Nick Khan ever do an interview saying, growing up, I just followed wrestling, this, that? I don't know. Some of these executives that WWE let go, remember the two that sold like 100,000 shares of stock in this and that? Neither one of them knew anything about WWE or wrestling when they first went in there. I know what you're going to say to me, but they weren't on the writing team. Well, guess what? They also were the power to let people go. And if you don't understand the creative process, you don't understand the wrestlers, and you don't understand the connection with the fans, you don't understand this, you don't understand that, and you're just looking at it as dollars and cents, tell me how that helps any better than knowing how to write or knowing the history. So, personally, if I was her, I would not have had her go on that podcast. Somebody said to me something earlier that I actually thought was very smart in the tweet. WWE should have some of these new employees, or just make it a requirement that, they sign some type of an agreement where they don't, discuss certain things. Or even if they don't sign an agreement, when you're hired, you're just like, look, what we don't want is we don't want, discussed in public, this and that. And that. That's not a horrible thing to ask. But again, the reason why I only made the one tweet and stopped is because she was there 3 weeks and she's gone. We don't know if she would have been a great writer. We don't know. You look at, what was that actor? What was that actor that was on the writing team for a little while? Someone will pick it up quickly. Really, really likable person. Who was the actor that was on the writing team with WWE for a little while that everybody liked and everybody did interviews? Oh, what was it like? This and that. I can't remember his name. Somebody will post it. And he said, Freddie Prinze Jr. Thank you, James Edward. Freddie Prinze Jr. I don't know, did Freddie Prinze Jr. have a background in writing and his, but he knew wrestling? Just think about that. You know, you're looking for someone that is a writer, that has experience in film and production and comedy. If you use the logic of people today, they're saying that someone is more qualified if they just knew about wrestling history. And let that sink in for a minute. Oh, you have to know who Bobby Lashley is. You have to know the tribal chief. You have to know this. You have to know that. Or you are a lifelong wrestling fan, and since you're hired to be a comedy writer, you look at this person, it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. If you want to get mad at anybody, get mad at WWE. But when they're a $1 billion company, you know, it's very hard, you know, to challenge. Me personally, I think anybody who is a writer in WWE should have knowledge of pro wrestling. Because by having knowledge of pro wrestling, and when I say that, I don't mean like, who that? Here, look, I put the hand over the name. Who's this? Who's this? Oh, you passed. Okay. Who's this? I don't mean that. What I mean is, I think everybody should have the knowledge of what fans click and connect to, and what fans are complaining about, and what fans get triggered at, and what fans like this, and look at what comedy segments that fans have loved over the years. You look at Booker T and Goldust, you look at Breezango, you look at this, you look at that. You understand wrestling, then you understand why this worked, why this didn't work, why, you know, this worked, why, you see what I'm saying? That, I think, should be a requirement. Should be without a doubt, it should be a requirement. Because if you understand why fans like this but didn't like this, and understand the wrestlers behind it and the storyline and the build and this and that, but the problem is, if WWE is hiring someone and you're looking for a job and you're looking for an opportunity, you know, and you turn around and you go in the interview process like, look, I know on the resume it says that knowledge of pro wrestling is not required, but I truly believe that, you know, I should learn all about the wrestling and stuff. How did you know? No one stopped to think that maybe WWE was going to have her learn the current roster and learn what's going on and learn this and learn that and learn this before she starts really giving input. Might have been 6 months to a year before she really got heavily deep into storylines. She might have been there and basically giving some input, but in the process, learning this and learning that. And I know what you're going to say. Well, they should bring someone in that's fully experienced already. Look at her goddamn resume. Her resume would blow away mine, yours, and anyone else's out there. So again, she did nothing wrong by applying for a job that required no knowledge of wrestling. Saying good riddance, she sucks, she shouldn't have been there, this and that. Gatekeepers. That's all that is. You have no idea if she would have been good or not. You have no idea how WWE would have used her in the beginning. You have no idea how much or how little input she would have had. You have no idea, you know, where this would have gone. Nobody knows. And for people to just turn around and say, good, keep her away, that sucks, that's ridiculous, she doesn't know nothing about it. You know, throwing shade at her, though, is just asinine. Her biggest mistake was going on the podcast and saying that even she was surprised about being hired. And trust me, if you understand her comedy, and look, I didn't know anything about her until 2.5 weeks ago. And when I looked at some of her skits, the Harriet Tubman one, if you don't know what I'm talking about, Google it, watch it. When I watched this, I said, okay, all right, yeah. You know, bringing up this as a new hire and talking about, this black guy and this and that, I don't think WWE was actually thrilled about that. It's not being on the podcast and saying no experience necessary. Fucking jobs.com said that. A lot of these wrestling news websites that actually work hard they're always, you know what they do? They're always checking out the U.S. trademark website to see what WWE trademarks. When they say, oh, rumor is this person is going to be this or this or that. A lot of it starts by them finding out on the trademark site, oh, why is WWE trademarking a name Dewdrop? And then that's how the process starts. The second thing that a lot of websites do is they go and check the job help wanteds, the job sites. And even further, you could all do this right now. WWE has a corporate website. And there is a section on their website that basically says, are we hiring? You click that, and you could see the jobs that they are looking for. It is right, plain sight for everybody to see. That job that she signed up for the first week of June, that job was on their corporate website as a job listing and on Monster or whatever that site is for about 2 months. It was up there for 2 months. How come all these people today that had their balls in a bunch, how come for the last 2.5, 3 months when that job was out there, why the fuck is WWE looking for someone no knowledge of wrestling history? They didn't care. They didn't care because it wasn't a news story. What are you going to do? Bitch about it? And 2 people acknowledge them? They waited for this controversy to come out because of the podcast. Suddenly they gave a shit. So from this point forward, if you didn't know about their corporate site and the job listings, now you know. So when you see that right now, they're looking for a writer. Right now, if you go on their website, they're looking for a writer, no knowledge of wrestling necessary. So whoever takes that job, are they going to be criticized also? There's always job listings out there. So that's my thoughts on it. Pretty much to the point. You know, she made the mistake on the podcast. Her attitude or style is definitely not outspoken. It's definitely not what WWE was looking for. You know, you work on the down low. And I got news for you. I think, I don't remember who it was. I got to double check. I don't want to say it until I double check. But somebody brought up the point too. You know, wrestling finds you. You don't find wrestling. That's usually what happens. Wrestling finds you. And, you know, we'll see what happens. But I just thought for somebody, you know, who's just filling out a job application, and whether they have a family or they don't, you know, they're looking for employment. And they fit the criteria. And to rip them because you don't like the fact that WWE is not requiring knowledge of wrestling is asinine. All you're doing is applying for employment. You have qualifications. WWE liked you. WWE hires you. You're going to turn around and say, no, don't hire me. Because yet, let me learn this. WWE say, next. So, with that said, I'm going to jet out of here. We're at 2 hours and 13 minutes. So, again, tomorrow, I will come up here for a very fast AEW recap. I will be on here from 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. I promise you, you have my word, that at 11 o'clock, 11:05, the latest. Well, actually, no, it'll be 10:05. So 10:05 to 11:15. If I'm not off the air by 11:15, I will just shut everything. I'll set up a timer that everything disconnects at 11:15. Tomorrow I want it to be a fast show. So we'll cover Dynamite, give you quick thoughts. We'll talk about what's going to go on this coming Wednesday, because it is a short week. You know, tomorrow's Saturday night, so you got Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. And then we're right back to Dynamite again. So, no, I'm dead serious, Benjamin. I really, honestly, I'm not kidding. This is how much I truly, honestly care about you, and I'm not pandering. If I should have never done those 2 polls. If I wouldn't have done those 2 polls on the community section, then I would have taken off tomorrow. But the fact that so many of you took the time to answer it and actually made some comments also, it'd be totally wrong for me to turn around and say, you know what? Fuck the polls. Because you know what'll happen? The next time I put up a poll that I really need your input, people are not going to vote because they're going to say, what am I voting for? This guy's not going to listen to what I say anyway. So I will definitely be up here tomorrow night from 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. So if you're around, I hope you could join me. And I'm still I'm not going to lie, I'm still marking out that Enzo was here earlier. I don't have the clip in this computer. But that was pretty cool. That engagement, congratulations that he sent, was pretty awesome. That was pretty epic. And it was pretty cool. Pretty cool. So everyone, before I jet out of here, if you don't mind one last time, smash that like button. I got to hide. And if you watch SmackDown over the weekend and you haven't watched it yet, just look out for somebody that looks like this. If you watch the beginning of Carmella, when she came out with Sonya Deville before Liv Morgan came out, look on the top left, and you'll see me going like this, But then when you watch Jey Uso and Jimmy Uso, and Dolph Ziggler, you'll see me right above the ring steps. There was like 4 different areas. There's no way for me to find out, but like I said, I was sideways, and somebody went on my earpiece and said, please stay in the center. Now, you're not going to say that to everybody in Thunderdome because 95% of them would have been like, I am in the center. What am I doing wrong? So I guess they were looking because of the colors and the mask and everything. And like I said, with the webcam, again, this is what it looks like in a webcam. You really can't see anything. And I had the live on air off. So I'm going to do Thunderdome again next week if I'm invited. And the next week after, if I'm invited, I'm going to do it again. Well, actually, I won't. I'll be away. So next week is probably the last opportunity for me to do Thunderdome. 3 weeks from now, that's it. No more Thunderdome. So look, I know it's trivial. I had fun. And hearing Ted DiBiase in the ear, you're like, hey, everyone, all right, loud, noise, thumbs up, thumbs down. It sounds like coaching, but it's pretty cool. It's a fun experience. So, Benjamin, I think the only reason why maybe Enzo was up here is because I, earlier in the show, was giving a lot of love for Enzo when he was in the Cruiserweight division. How that got to him, I have no idea. But fun night tonight. I thank you all for tuning in, and I will see you hopefully tomorrow night. Again, I promise you, 10:05 to 11:15, I'm going to challenge myself tomorrow to be done by 11:15. So I think we'll do it. And Monday, I'll be on with Mish, and we will take calls for at least a half an hour. So if you want to call in and you have any comments about the releases, you disagree with anything that I said tonight, and also post it in the comment section. You feel free to say, DT, you are way off about what I said about Miss Mobley. If you feel I was wrong about any my other thoughts on the releases, speak up. Speak up. I respect. You don't have to agree with me with everything. You feel otherwise, definitely speak up. And before I go, Nir Rofe, much love to you. Nir is tuning in from Israel right now. That's why you got the odd-looking symbol on the left, which I don't normally see in my neck of the woods. But Nir, I hope everything is good from where you are, and keep your head up. A lot of turmoil in the Middle East right now, so much love, Nir. Much love. All right, everybody, I'm going to jet out of here, and as I do after every episode, I close out with this. I hope to see you on Saturday, and expect some screenshots of yours truly from tonight. I had fun, man. I had fun. I'm tired. My arms are hurting. I smell like shit because I was sweating up a storm. This thing, I got to put a fabric softener in to air out a little bit. So it was a fun night. Now I get to go relax. So good night, everybody.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a podcaster. For me to live any other way was nuts. To me, those goody-good people who worked shitty jobs for bum paychecks and took the subway to work every day and worried about their bills were dead. I mean, they were suckers. They had no balls. If I wanted something, I just took it. I ran everything. I paid the bills. I paid the host. I even paid the masked maniac. Everybody had their hands out. Everything was for the taking. We always called each other good fellas. You would always hear from somebody. You're gonna like Don Tony. He's alright. He's a good fella. He's one of us. But if you're part of my crew, nobody ever tells you they're gonna get rid of you. It doesn't happen that way. There weren't any arguments or curses like in the movies. See, your haters come with smiles. They come as your friends, the people who've claimed they care the most for your life. And now that's all over. And that's the best part. Today everything is different. There's lots of action. I don't have to wait around for everything like everyone else. Oh, I didn't get the vaccine? Fuck you, vaccine me. Oh, your delivery guy has COVID? Fuck you, feed me. Right after I moved here, I ordered egg noodles and ketchup, and I got spaghetti with meat sauce. I'm no longer an average nobody, while they get to live the rest of their lives like a bunch of schnooks.